Good evening. Welcome to the regular Piqua City Commission meeting, Tuesday, November 2nd, 2020. Let us begin by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, will the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Copeland?
Here.
Commissioner Pearson?
Here.
Mayor Lee?
Here.
Commissioner Grissom?
Here.
Commissioner Hines?
Here.
All right. First on the agenda is the consent agenda.
So we have one item on the consent agenda this evening, and it's the approval of the minutes from the October 19th, 2021 regular Piqua City Commission meeting.
All right. Everybody's seen the minutes?
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of the approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is new business, and there is no new business at this point in time. So we will move right along and go to public comment. Now, this is an opportunity for citizens to address the City Commission regarding agenda items, issues, or to provide information. Comments are requested to be limited to 5 minutes. We're going to stick to the 5 minutes, guys, okay? So, and specific questions should be addressed to the city manager's office. Who would like to come up and speak? Yes. Mm-hmm. Hey, Eva, can you bend that microphone down towards her? Thank you. Can you state your name and your address?
My name is Walda Reeves. I've lived in, been a resident of the city of Piqua for all but 14 of my 80 years. I taught school in area communities for 15 years and retired from the Girl Scouts in 2006. I taught Sunday school in 2 different churches. My husband was Wayne Reeves, the aquatics and membership director at the YMCA. We purchased a home on Boone Street in 1973. The woman we bought it from had lived there for about 50 years, and during that time, I'm sorry, I lost my place.
You're all right.
During that time, it survived the 1913 flood and a small fire in 1945. And we made some improvements, but not nearly as much as I had originally thought we could. I became a widow in 1999, and I neglected to maintain it as I should have. Consequently, the past 4 years have been a continual onslaught of code violations. I've attempted to correct these violations, but have never been able to do so with the speed the city wants. My funds only allow me to do so much at a time. Every time I talked to the code coordinator or the prosecutor, I was encouraged by them to just have it demolished. Needless to say, the COVID situation disrupted work towards correcting the violations. And then this summer, while trying to finish the siding, I was served with a stop work order by the county, which had been initiated by a request from this city. Now the house has been condemned. It's another delay. The paperwork for the condemnation included a list of demolition companies. Surprise. During a recent town hall meeting, Mr. Patricio referenced my situation twice. He said my contractors had done a poor job, taken my money, and run. I'm quite angry with that insinuation. I had one contractor who was contracted to take care of the exterior work and get rid of the violations. He did that job, and he got paid, and he didn't run. He also did a lot of extras at no charge to me. I was told that he was unqualified and uncertified, but I have knowledge of his credentials, which I would like to share now.
These are plans for some of the buildings I've
These are
built
blueprints
in the last 4 years. Anybody wants to take a look at
of
these?
structures
The mega church is the one we're building now.
that have been completed
Miamisburg.
during the
We built a
past
school
couple of
in
years
Beaver Creek.
by the company I employed.
We built commercial construction. This, I think, is the sign that we built for a gas station in Troy. These are all buildings.
This
I've
is
built,
certainly
either Beaver
the
Creek
work
or
of a company
You can have them, but thank you for.
much more certified
somebody that built
than Mr. Patrizio implied.
hang siding on Boone Street. We also are assured liability insurance, OSHA, workman's comp. We have to have all that paperwork, or they won't let us build schools in Beaver Creek. And the one house that we built, I think, no, that's the church.
That'll make it easy, thank you. I got it.
Whoever has the house is the.
In
the guy
response-
built the house for, he's a builder,
All right,
and he hired us to build his house.
all right. Can you let her finish, and I'll let you come up for 5
In
minutes?
response to
Okay?
the
No, we have this, but you come up after.
condemnation order, I supplied a work plan to address the interior items listed. I also hired a structural engineer to establish the structural integrity of the house. I had been told by Mr. Morrison that the plan was not too bad, and he was waiting for the engineer's report to move forward. Yesterday, he learned that the engineer proclaimed the house structurally sound. But now Mr. Morrison wants drawings and details, which he said would come from an architect. The gas company green tagged the house twice. The county green tagged the electric twice. Furnace has been serviced by Morris. Browning has been there for plumbing. The interior improvements listed on the condemnation are basic remodeling activities. Does the average homeowner hire an architect before hanging drywall or updating a kitchen or installing drop ceiling? It seems like there's always one more thing. I-
1 minute.
Could you finish? I'm running out
That's
of
fine.
breath.
That's fine. She can finish for her.
Before I finish her letter, I'm going to let everybody know on this panel, I am ashamed of this town. I am ashamed that,
You're adding to the minutes, so
Okay.
finish hers, and then you can come up.
I
and
would
talk
like
as
to
well.
know why the city is so intent on having my home demolished. This is not how I envisioned my final years. I've always loved living in Piqua, but not so much anymore. I wouldn't encourage anyone to move here.
Mr. Reeves, thank you. Thank you. Do you want to talk? You
I
start
just,
the time.
just wanted to show
Say
everybody,
your name. Just say.
Jonathan Reeves.
Yep,
I
I know you. We go way back.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to show everybody that, like, you know,
What's your address, Jonathan?
well, it was 519 Boone Street. Now it's 1006 Brook Street.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I'm obviously qualified to do siding, roofing. I built those buildings to code. and They had to be exact, like OSHA was standing right there while we were building them because we were building them right next to a playground with kids on the playground when we built the school. And the builder that hired me to build his house, he builds houses, and he hired me to build his own personal home. So I feel like I'm qualified as far as being able to put siding on a house. But then I heard at the town hall meeting that the person that was doing this work for Alice was unqualified or uncertified, and I was concerned, so I wanted to bring down some of my qualifications. And I don't do a lot of work in Piqua. That's because it's my mom, you know what I mean? Most of the stuff I do is commercial construction or new construction somewhere else. because we don't do a lot of work in Piqua, because unfortunately, most people in Piqua can't afford us. Okay, and when we make an exception for her, make it cheap on her because she's in the situation that she's in, right, and she's a mom, yeah. As I just wanted to share those with you.
No, I appreciate that. Obvious.
I thought I had a business card too.
I'll take one.
What's the name of your business? Savage Construction. No, that's fine. I just wanted to have that. Thank you.
And you can call Monday between 9 and 1 o'clock, and if you need any other credentials,
That's fine, yeah.
any other things that say, yeah, we can put siding up or whatever, We do some work in Piqua. We built a couple of decks here and a few other things, but mostly we work at Beaver Creek, Miamisburg.
You just wanted to make that clear to
Well,
us.
yeah, because I didn't want anybody to think that she'd been ripped off by somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. The guy wouldn't have hired us back to build a mega church if we hadn't built the school right.
Those are beautiful designs, yep. I hear you. All right. You want to start the clock? Who's next?
I spoke to you earlier.
Good.
And I'm just going to put this out there. I think this is the first time in my life I've been ashamed to be a resident of Piqua. And I say that because at two meetings ago, we discussed a person on Park Avenue, and we discussed their health and their state of mind. And I would like to know what qualifies, what are the qualifications between one versus another? She's attempted, she's tried. Is it more because we're taking the church, honestly? And Frank, I'll ask you directly, is it more because we're tearing the church adjacent to the house down? And the city has plans? Because if that is the case and we're removing a lifelong resident who has served the community in multiple levels home, it is shameful.
Reason why, it's quite simple.
We had
This process started about 4 years ago. And about 2 years ago, I took Miss Reeves into court. And at that point of time, someone did advise me something happened with her, and she had paid people and they didn't do the work. I don't think it was this gentleman. I don't know who it was. But that's what was told to me, and that's why I indicated it the other day.
But as
we took Miss Reeves to court 2 years ago. I actually felt sorry for her because it had been explained to me that some people had taken advantage of her. So I talked to Miss Reeves and I said, okay, Miss Reeves, I'm going to dismiss this case against you. But if you promise me that you'll fix it by July, you won't see me anymore. So July came along, nobody did anything on the house. Wasn't until we had to file again, which was about 6 months later, at the beginning of this year, that anybody even started to do any work on the house or to get it up to code, or I shouldn't say start to do any work. Somebody did do some work, but nobody was doing much work. So then we went to inspect the property because her attorney asked us to go there. We went to her house and we also went to this house. Her house was fine. We said, fine, we're good, we're going to dismiss this case. We went to this house. And when we were at this house, what happened was, the first thing we noticed was the porch. And the porch had plyboard on for the flooring on the porch. The other thing is we were told that it was the old porch, which it may very well have been. And there was a board cut, and it had a red saw mark on it, which would indicate it was a brand new board. The porch also was supported by a 4x4, which was held up by a paver. It wasn't in any foundation or anything of that nature. And that keyed us to the attention. If it was just the exterior at that time, we even talked to the folks that were there, and we talked about the exterior, and we said, hey, you guys are pretty close with the exterior on this. If you take off, Aaron even suggested just taking off the porch and putting up stairs up to the front, which would have been fine. Then we asked to go inside. When we went inside, the conditions of the house were unsanitary. There was holes all over. There were vents hanging down, and it was a generally unsafe house, which caused it to be condemned immediately. At that point in time, I even told her attorney then, you know what, I think Ms. Reeves had been taken advantage of, and you know what, we're going to dismiss the case against her on this, And if they want to fix up the house, that's fine. They can bring it up to code, and that's all that's required. If they don't want to fix it up, that's fine. They can tear it down. From the code enforcement department standpoint, we don't care if they tear it down or fix it up. We just want it in up to code.
And I understand.
Currently, it's not when there's holes in the ceilings, when there's vents hanging down, when there's.
Let me intervene.
When there's-
Currently, you guys have given her a
And, but I
stop
mean, you
work
guys are acting
order.
like we're unreasonable here, and it's been 4 years in the making.
I see houses here that have been
Ma'am, I've
dilapidated
been
for
on this
beyond
2
4 years.
And I will tell people.
And with COVID, I've seen landlords, and we've all know this to be true, landlords that have been given space and beyond equity amount of time where COVID was. We're talking about a woman with limited resources. We're also talking about a situation in which COVID did strike. We gave other landlords the opportunity, and I know houses in this community that are well beyond what her home is.
You know-
My thing is, and it's a very direct question, does her home coming down have to do with plans for the city with the church involvement?
Has nothing to do with that. As a matter of
Because
fact,
there's
I
a lot
have
not
no
being told.
idea-
Can I speak? There's an out.
Let me answer your question first.
Okay.
I had, just so you know, I have no idea. No one's discussed with me. No one said a single word to me about what's going to happen to that lot that church is on. I do know it's coming down, but that's it. I have no idea what it has to do with the relationship to her lot.
Okay, can
The
you-
reason why her lot was chosen is because we've been trying to get it fixed for 4 years. We took her to court once. And so the second time, we said we had enough, after I actually was very nice to her the first time. So then, the contractors who were working with her the first time, and I don't know if it was him or not, said, yeah, we'll get it fixed up for you. And I said, fine. So then, nothing happens.
Frank, you guys gave her a cease and desist. How is she supposed to work on it? She'd be violating the law.
I'm telling you, the guys who came with her to court, the people that were working on it said, we'll get it fixed up for you, Frank. We'll make sure it's up to court.
Just
They
a few
did
minutes
not
ago, you
do
said
it.
they started those repairs and you just put a cease and desist on her. So how
No,
is she to
that
continue them?
was not before we filed the
The
second
bottom
time.
line is there has been another building inspector come in and found the building to be structurally sound.
Well, when it's up to code, they can have the county come in. When the county tells us that it's structurally sound, the wiring's fine, the heating and cooling's fine. then
Is
the
that
house
after
won't
they
get
pay for
done.
an architect? Because I see like
I
a
don't
lot of the
know what-
slumlords in town
I
paying for
don't-
architects too. You don't want to argue because you don't want the facts.
Well,
Maybe
we
you should
shouldn't
resign
argue.
your
We're
position
at 5
because at this
minutes.
point, there's a bias issue with you.
There's no bias issue
There
at all,
is.
because
All
I
right,
took
Eva,
many people
thank
to
you.
court
Your
last
5
year.
minutes are-
Not just Waldo. Well,
All right, so none of our knowledge that there's a project going in there that involves her residence. We don't. We don't. All right, and that. And that's something, if you would like to come in and sit down with Aaron, the city manager, Frank, not a problem. Find out that exact question. All right?
just so you're aware, the lady on Park Avenue have been taken to court for a criminal charge already. She,
All right, Eva.
Leah
we need to
went to
move
court
on.
last
Next
year.
person.
That's all I have to say, because you know the answer to that.
Anybody else would like to speak?
I'll speak to this. Liette was fined $8,000 last year, or 2 years ago, and,
Because of COVID.
Excuse
And you
me?
guys had cited him a year prior to that. So he had a year prior of COVID to bring contractors in, did not bring them in, but told you when you took him to court that it was because of COVID. The judge even said that the tornadoes didn't happen in Dayton to prevent him with contractors prior to that. But for a year, he did nothing with those properties.
and since I've gotten the case and they were filed against Mr. Liette, I went after him. We went after him. We got a pretty large fine against him. Since that period of time, when we give him a notice that there's a violation, he fixes them up.
All right.
If they
Let's-
aren't, we
Frank.
will gladly go back out there and look at them.
Let's make a meeting, set up a meeting. Eva, we need to move on, okay? We need to set up a meeting. Anybody else that would like to speak is free to speak for 5 minutes. Thank you. Can you tell me your name and your address, sir?
My name is Larry Herzog. I live at 515 Boone Street, across the alley from the house that was condemned. Within the last 2 years that I've lived there, I've watched these kids put windows in the house, put siding on the house, put a roof on the house.
Okay.
But they said there's nothing been done. A month ago, they tore the roof off the front porch, and they're preparing to tear the front porch off to a small section, a stoop to the front door. And then they're going to rebuild that with treated lumber and put in new concrete steps. To add to this, the day the inspectors were there, I was harassed. I've only lived here 2 years. I was asked why I had a trailer sitting in my driveway. I can't have a utility trailer, which he called it a camper trailer at the time, sitting on the grass. I can't help that there's grass growing in the stones in my driveway. I'm 68 years old. I'm living on a pension, trying to buy a $90,000 house. I was informed that eventually my house was going to be taken too, and they were going to be taken by the city, and they were going to build an apartment complex in that corner of the section of the block.
We know nothing of this. There's no plans. Nothing's been presented to any of us about this.
Then I was told that because I have a car parked in my backyard, so I can put a new top on it, it's a convertible, to keep it from being destroyed by the weather. Had 2 neighbors told me I could use their garage. For 2 years, never happened, so I pulled the car up in my backyard, put up a tent. Now I have the top on the car. It's out of the backyard. I had to move my trailer 40 miles away, and if I need it, I got to drive 40 miles to get it and bring it back so I can use it to haul building materials. I was told that if I have any windows in my house that have paint on them, they either have to be cleaned up or replaced. They're all brand new Anderson replacement windows. They were put in the house before I bought it.
That's easily provable, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All I got to do is look at them.
All right.
I
So-
can't help that there's paint on them because the people I bought the house from didn't even paint the house properly.
I believe it.
I've been going around with a ladder and a bucket of paint, touching up white on gray and gray on white. I'm in the process of tearing 2 windows out of the kitchen, which I guess I have to have a permit, and replacing the 2 windows with 1 smaller window so I can put kitchen cabinets in because the windows go from the ceiling to the floor. I can't understand that. I'm not doing anything to the house. The county engineer's office told me that as long as I wasn't changing any major structure to the exterior of the building, there was nothing wrong with that. If I put in a new window and I put in a header above it, it's legal. I didn't need a permit. City says I do.
You willing to come in and talk to
I've
Aaron's
talked to the city
supervisor?
engineer.
No, who's that? The engineer?
I don't know who he is,
Or
down the hall
talk
here.
to Aaron, or did you talk to Chris?
I talked to an older gentleman. I know I talked to a young gentleman before, told me I couldn't put stone, landscape stone around my house. When I come back in and talk to his boss, he said, no, they're talking about gravel.
All right.
He said, you can put stone around your house if you want.
Mr. Herzog, can I just ask a question for clarification? What inspector was it that told you about the, whatever this?
That they want to demolish it for an
Yeah, for
apartment?
an apartment complex. When you said an
I've never
inspector
heard of
told
that.
you?
No inspector told me that.
Told you that?
Other members of the city,
All right.
Okay.
So
senior
that's
members
hearsay.
of the city.
Okay, because we've not heard of
We
that
haven't
at
heard
all.
that. We don't know
Yeah.
that. That's not, and there's no truth to that whatsoever.
I know there's one lady that's moved out of our neighborhood, moved to the country. She's coming back to our neighborhood
Okay.
because she's not comfortable in her home. Her home she purchased in the country. I can't understand why they're having selective code enforcement, because I looked around the city, there are trailers, campers, cars, trucks sitting in yards with weeds growing up around them.
And I
They're
understand
not
that.
being forced to move them.
And you realize a lot of the stuff is complaint-driven on this stuff.
I'm gonna give you a list of addresses.
If you want, you're more than welcome to do that and turn it
Okay.
into the city.
I'll take care of that.
Okay. All right.
I just can't understand
you
why
wanna
there's
talk to
selective code
someone-
enforcement.
You want to talk to someone above the 2 people you talked to, you can talk to the city manager. if
You
you'd like.
betcha.
All right. You
You're at
set
1
an
minute.
appointment. All right. Do you have anything
I
else?
just,
you'd
I
like to
just
add?
can't understand why this gentleman come up and told me that I can't have a trailer parked in my driveway because there's grass growing up through the stone. Can't have that trailer parked in the grass. Excuse me,
think that's-
I served my country 14 and a half years.
Thank you
I've
for
been
your
forced to
service.
retire 31 years ago.
Yes.
I'm barely able to walk. I can only work so fast.
I hear you, and I appreciate your comments. And if you need some help, there are groups that are developing. Eva's got one, and there are other groups that can help you get some of that stuff done.
Yeah, I
do
was-
know there's an ordinance about the gravel, though. If it's pre-existing and the grass starts to go, you just have to spray something to kill the grass because the gravel is pre-existing and it should be allowed.
Right,
So
that's what I thought. That's why I parked the trailer there.
I understand, and I appreciate.
I
your
had the
time.
car parked there last winter under lean-to that I'd built, some couple 2x4s and a tarp. Somebody called the city and told them I was building a garage without a permit.
Well, you're not.
I invited them down to take a look at it because I tore it down the weekend before it was reported.
All right, your 5 minutes are up, sir. I appreciate it, but please schedule an appointment with the city manager to talk about what you just told us.
Sure will.
I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service. Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak?
My name's Roland Sourmill. I live at 660 South Street. Got a question. This country gives grants out to everybody. City of Pickwick gets grants, ain't no doubt in my mind. Why can't we help some of these people who can't afford to fix their house up? Help them.
I don't see why we can't.
Well, you're tearing them down. I mean, like this lady on Boone, I ain't been by the house or nothing. You know, we're all fortunate. We can take care of our places. We got the money to pay. Some people ain't fortunate as we are in this country. Right. We're fortunate. We've been blessed. I've been blessed. Frank knows I've been blessed. I've been blessed. Why can't we help people instead of getting everybody mad at the city?
Yeah.
You get people mad at the city, you ain't gonna get along.
You ain't gonna
I
get
ain't no
nothing done either.
scientist. I ain't no president.
Nope.
I'm just, it's common sense.
You won't
There's
get anything
people
done
that's
either.
book smart, but ain't got no common sense. We got common sense. If you can't get along with the city, the people, it gets ugly.
Yeah.
Why can't we get grants all the time? I guess, I don't know. I'm just starting doing this.
Sure.
I just start doing this. When I was young, didn't have no money, I got a grant from city for $1,800. Back in '74, you could do a lot for $1,800. Now you can't. But then, you know, why can't the city, instead of buying these places, tear them down?
We can make stuff available. We can find out what
and,
grants
you know,
are available and make it available.
You're taking taxpayers' money and tearing all these houses down and stuff. Why don't they take that money and help the people fix their house up so they got a place to live? Well, I mean, why don't people be proud of living in this city?
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Don't get, some people's ashamed of this city. Some people are ashamed of coming to this town, which, I mean, I've been in this town since 1974, 70. And I just don't understand. And I don't come to these meetings, you know that.
I know that.
I just started coming. I usually be quiet.
Appreciate, yeah, easy.
And I just don't understand. Why don't we try to help people out? I help people out as much as I can.
We do help people out. There are
Yeah,
some.
but you know, tearing all these houses down. I mean, there's a house down there. I got a rental down there. They're going to tear it down. I wanted to buy it, but I can't do that shit no more. Our house shouldn't be tore down, but if you tear it down, that's fine. I'm done investing. I got enough. I just don't understand the grants we get. Why can't we help some of these older people to live on a fixed, like their husband died, wife died? That's less money got coming in. And it's rough enough to make it when both of them's working. I mean, not working on Social Security. I mean, my ex-wife draws $800-some a month. Now, how can she live on that? She does. I help her. She'll tell you I help her. She can't. You know, you can't do it. And these people, you know, I feel sorry for these people. And I think the city should feel sorry for these people and try to, you know, the city spends a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you can see that. And I ain't going to argue about it. It ain't none of my business for this. I'm trying to get the city and the people back together and appreciate living in this town. Probably never heard me talk like this, have you? That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, do we have grants?
So the CBDG funding, the government funding that we receive has been kind of reduced over the years, and so what we can do with the program is very limited. I suspect that'll continue to be the pace that they reduce local funding in general. So over the last 10 years, we've lost substantial local government funding from the federal government. And so then it straps our resources to, we basically only have money to do abatements, which tends to be when they get to the point of needing to be demolished. So the properties that you're speaking about that we do demolish, there isn't enough funding to provide grants to get them back up to code compliance because they well exceed what the demolition cost is.
Every house you demolish, I bet costs you $4,000 to $5,000.
No, it's more than that.
Okay, why can't you, instead of demolishing the house, $14,000, $15,000 or whatever it is, why don't you help people fix it up?
Well,
Instead of making
again,
green
the
space.
amount of money it takes to fix up the house far exceeds what it would
But
cost.
I fixed up a lot of houses.
Yeah.
And when I got my grant years ago, I had to do the work myself.
All right. Well, we can't do it on the cheap. You want it to pass inspection and stuff, so,
Well, I understand that.
yeah.
But I mean,
So it's
I
expensive.
get,
So maybe we could find other grants. Maybe that's something
you
that
know,
we could look for.
you guys get money to tear down houses and this and that and whatever. You know, I don't know how you got the place beside Canal Shop. I heard rumors about it, but I don't know. I ain't heard from nobody from up here how it come out or anything like
But
that.
I don't
But
know
you
what-
find money for that.
For what?
To put the park area beside the lighthouse. You find money for that. That wasn't cheap.
That was budgeted?
Huh?
A lot of that was budgeted. And a grant. And a grant. Eva, he's talking. It's his time.
I
And
seen
it's
a
time.
lawnmower that day, the remote control lawnmowers.
Thank you very much. And your point is well taken. Why can't we help people? We should, when we can.
I get along with people.
I agree.
I mean, I don't get
All
along
right.
with the city.
You're not. All right.
Quick question, Paul, real quick. On those CDBG block grants, is there funding, and then maybe I'll do a little bit research myself as well, but is there funding through the state level on that? Not so much through the federal level, but through the state level
It's
that
a-
you might be aware of?
It's a trickle down, and
Okay.
so the state actually administers a program. Right now, we're in the process. We lost our, I guess, our coordinator that was in the planning department. Her last day was Friday, so the job will be going up on the board, and we hope to have another employee in place and somebody that can pursue those kinds of grants and look at things a little differently.
All right, thank you.
Yep. And that's what we want. We want to find grants, and we do want to find money to help people. I'm not disagreeing with either of you, any of you. Well, we'll work on it. Anybody else from the citizens have a statement?
Can I ask you a question?
Real quick.
What can we do about drug dealers within a block of two schools?
All right. Call the police and sit down with them and let them know.
2 years I've been doing
All right. Well, keep on it, and we will have the city manager look into it as well.
Called
All right.
the gentleman's attention when they come and looked at the house, 519 Boones.
Okay. Thank you. I will ask the chief to check into that myself. Any other questions? City managers report then.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. I just have two items. The first is just a reminder about the 2021 leaf collection. It started October 25th, and it's scheduled to be done by December 17th. We'll have two crews that are going out and doing 3 rounds of leaf collection. There's a map published online. And just a reminder to keep your leaves 1 foot from the curb so that they can vacuum them up. And please don't add any limbs or debris, sticks and things like that, because it's hard on our equipment to grind up those kinds of items. And lastly, and I'm sure everybody here's a real positive one, the Route 66 stormwater project is to be completed by the end of the week, and the detour will be taken down. We'll start on restoration of damage that's in the right-of-way, and then we'll have turf restoration in the spring when we can grow grass again.
Sounds great.
That's the end of my report.
All right. Any questions for the city manager from the commission? Nope. All right. Commissioner Hines, we'll start with you.
The only comment I have is our Indians keep winning, so we have another game this coming Friday night here at home, so come out and cheer on our Piqua Indians. So that's all I've got.
All right. Commissioner Grissom.
Only thing I have is Election Day, so hopefully everybody got out there and voted. I know I did, so, yeah.
All right. Commissioner Pearson.
Okay, November 13th is the holiday horse parade. It'll be downtown from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And beyond that, Christmas on the Green will be Friday night, December 3rd, 6 to 9. And the Christmas parade will follow Saturday, December 4th at 2 p.m. And there'll be a 5K and a 10K called the Holly Jolly that will be held on December the 11th, and that would be a Saturday. I want to thank everybody for putting up with all the weather for our Halloween trick-or-treat night. I know I didn't see many kids out, but those that were trying to go from door to door. Don't forget to turn your clocks back this weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Time change. Yay.
Commissioner Foat.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for supporting the city and the change to the trick or treat. I had the opportunity to walk 6 miles that day, and I got drenched. Had a lot of good comments, sharing them with the kids that were out there all ghouled up and everything. So I was glad to see that we did have some partakers, even though we did change our events here. I want to second what Commissioner Hines is talking about. Piqua is on a winning roll, so go out there and support the Indians as much as possible. I'm going to be out there, tried and true as much as I can be, so greatly appreciate that. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know this is not a normal commission meeting because we didn't have any business that was on the docket for us to conduct with the city. But however, I think being able to give time to the citizens, regardless whether we have city business or not, is a step toward the positive, because you guys do have a right to come up and voice your concerns,
Yes.
whether we have business or not. So thank you for everybody that's coming out, and I'm still looking forward to our first meeting coming up with the small businesses here pretty soon, and to continue to add more of those to our schedules. We get them scheduled. So thank you guys for your time.
All right, thank you. And I want to thank the people who have come tonight that are concerned. And thank you for setting the record straight, Mrs. Reeves. And thank you. No, thank you. You have every right. And with this commission, we want you to be able to say your piece. We want you to say what your truth is. And we want to ask questions. And the questions we're being asked were appropriate questions. And if we don't have the answers, we're going to get the answers for you. We've got to. And if we need to find more grants, if we have to look for additional grants to help our citizens, that's what we need to do. All right? Now, I don't want people coming up here because the whole thing with a Boone Street loft, that was hearsay. I mean, that is rumor, and no commissioner knew anything about that. The city manager didn't know about it. Nobody knew anything about that because that's not what's going on. The concern I hear is that there needs to be equal treatment for people who are getting code enforcement dealt their way, and there should be, all right? So when a complaint is filed, they have to do their job, all right? If they see something that is inappropriate, they have to do their job, all right? But I don't want it to be a situation where they're picking, and if that needs to be brought to the city managers and the Aaron's boss's attention, then that needs to be sat down and talked about, and that's why I said go set an appointment with him. So, as far as I'm concerned, with there needs to be some meetings, and people need to talk, and they need to do that because it's important. I don't want our citizens frustrated, upset, thinking that they're being picked on, but they still have to abide by the laws and the ordinances that are set forth in the city of Piqua as well. As a police officer, I enforce them all the time. They weren't fun to enforce by any means, but we still had to enforce them. So, and the city does tend to work with people, and they've tried. And Frank did express how he's tried to work with people. So let's look at both sides. We're not pointing at one side or pointing at the other. Both sides need to work together. So. I think changing the subject, Halloween went pretty well. Heard a lot of positive compliments. A lot of people were happy that it was Saturday with wet rain instead of Thursday with torrential rains. So I'm glad that we were able to change that and people were able to get out and do that. I'm impressed with the Piqua Indians. They continue to impress and will continue to win, in my opinion, because we've got a great team, and they'll continue to win. And last but not least, I voted. I'm hoping that all of you voted. I think the polls close at 7:30.
Yep.
So if you haven't voted yet, get out there and vote. It's your right. So I don't care who you vote for, but it's your right. So with that said, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned.